7 p.m. Will the clerk please take roll?
Councilmember Blanchett.
Here.
Councilmember Ganaga. Here. Councilmember Norton.
Here.
Councilmember O'Neill.
Here.
Councilmember Robbins.
Here.
Mayor Swift.
Here.
Councilmember Workman.
Here.
Tonight we have the Pledge of Allegiance led by Councilwoman Blanchett and invocation by Councilman Workman. Will you please rise?
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Precious Lord, we thank you for our many blessings, and we ask that you might bless our elected officials in their decision-making matters for the best of our community. Amen.
Amen. Thank you for that. Jeff, do you have any announcements before we get started?
Your Honor, we do not have any announcements for this evening.
I have a few. I was just informed earlier today that Richard Haig, age 95 of Riverview, passed away this past week. Richard was a U.S. veteran in the U.S. Navy in World War II, and he's known for building, him and his wife built and maintained the Vietnam sign in front of the old City Hall on 4th Street, and they maintained that sign all during the Vietnam conflict. So I want to keep them in your prayers. Also, I'd like to keep in your prayers Will Evans' mother-in-law, Sherry Evans' mother, passed away early this morning also, so we wish the best to them. And on a lighter note, I'd like to wish a happy birthday to my granddaughters. Today is her 16th birthday. They had to leave the party to come here, so wish her happy birthday. We have no awards and presentation or proclamations. 5.1, approve the minutes of the 2/6/23 regular Riverview City Council meeting in a condensed version for publication. What's council's pleasure?
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Motion by Councilman Norton, supported by Councilwoman Ganaga. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Ganaga.
Yes.
Councilmember Norton.
Yes.
Councilmember O'Neill.
Yes.
Councilmember Robbins.
Yes.
Mayor Swift.
Yes.
Councilmember Workman.
Yes.
Councilmember Blanchett.
Yes.
We have no public hearings today. Now is the time for public comment. Anyone wishing to address the mayor and council, please approach the podium, state your name and address for the record. Try to keep your comments to 5 minutes. There is no sharing of time and no rebuttals. And please be respectful. And I'll remind everyone, I've been asked by council to keep your comments to 5 minutes. The clerk will hold up this very not loud sign when you're approaching your time. So at this point, does anybody want to address the mayor and council at this point?
Bill Toll, 17861 Devonshire. Just going to talk briefly on something that I've talked about many times in the past, and that's the unfunded liabilities. First of all, the unfunded liabilities of pension and health care are the cause of the financial issues this community is facing and is the reason we don't have funds for other needed items like street repairs, storm sewer upgrades, etc. I understand council has negotiated an agreement with the Riverview PD that established a defined benefit program for the police department and failed to increase the age to 60 before employees are entitled to health care benefits, the same as all other city employees have that was negotiated. Since council has decided to ignore the Redmond report, financial analysis recommendations that address these two issues, I'd like to know how they plan on funding it. I mean, is council planning on asking residents for an override of the Headley Amendment? Are you going to be proposing another public safety assessment for the police department to fund this change of direction for our community? Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Go ahead.
I'm here, can't you see me?
I was taking notes.
I'm here for the last maybe 6 months. A few of us been trying to get the ball field, the lighted ball field at Pensall Field, named for a past president, Robert Queen, who was a lieutenant on the police force. it seems like Todd Dickman can't get a quorum in the Recreation Commission. So it's been going and going and going, and I talked to the city manager about this, and nothing has come of it yet. So I'm asking the council to consider naming that ball field after Robert Queen, who isn't doing that well right now. And we think that ought to be named after him. So that's what I'm asking.
Right.
If the council can do that, I don't know. Does the Recreation Commission, if they can't get a quorum, they can't vote? So
Thank you.
Todd ain't here tonight, so he knows all about it too.
All right, thank you. Anybody else?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ed Moss. I live at 18207 Valade. I have a few things on my mind, actually. The first one is Councilmember Workman. I thought the idea you came up with at the last meeting about the commonly asked questions as you put them on the website is a good idea. I don't know if it's going to answer most people's questions, but I concur with you on that. The one tweak I would make to it is the more QWERTY term for it would be frequently asked questions, or FAQs. Second thing I'm going to mention is something I mentioned at the last meeting, and that is about the bicyclist that was hit crossing 4th Street at Pennsylvania. I had a chance to look at the light because I wondered about the timer, and especially because I come from Trenton Road, since Pennsylvania Fort and Trenton all kind of meet at the one spot there, if in fact there was a timer, which there was. And I'm wondering if that bicyclist might have crossed while it was still green, but after that initial timer ran out, thus causing the traffic from Trenton to be released and making for a most unfortunate incident. I don't know for sure, since I didn't witness it, what ever did happen with that, but hopefully nothing like that will ever happen again. Thirdly, and I thank you, Mr. Dilbeck, for mentioning what you mentioned about Rob McMahon last meeting. However, what occurred to me is when employees of the city leave, they usually are thanked for their service, and I noticed with Rob, for whatever reason, he was not. So for what it's worth, Rob, wherever you are and whatever you may be doing right now, thank you for your years of being the finance director and for your 7 to 9 months of being the treasurer. To me, it was very meaningful, and even if it wasn't to anybody else in the city, and it may be of little consolation to you, but you do have my eternal thanks and gratitude on that. And then finally, I'm going to keep the last comment to pretty much questions in light of this being your granddaughter's 16th birthday, Mr. Mayor. However, first thing I'll say is I am very apologetic, and I apologize to everybody in the city for not mentioning this a couple meetings ago, because I may have caused the situation to worsen that I'm about to talk about by not saying anything about it. And that is around December 10th, in a letter that was dated December 7th that I've been looking for the last month and did not find. I received a letter from Mr. Skirtle about the rodents in Riverview. And you heard me correctly. I said the rodents in Riverview. And when I got to thinking about that, I thought about when I commented on my neighbor, Dan Calipori, who lives at 18197 Valade, in the pictures that I sent you, Mr. Mayor, and the council members of his backyard. And I wonder if he wasn't the impetus of all of that. I don't know that he is, but he certainly, I'm sure, contributed to it. And I found it very interesting, though I believed what Mr. Skirtle said about the fact that I was not the causation of it, which I was pretty personally offended when I got that letter, and I thought it might be the city's way of coming after me again and going back to the dark ages. But when he said that it was sent to everybody, I wondered, Mr. Mayor, since I have found out since the last meeting that Mr. Calipori is a friend of yours, at least on social media, and probably in real life. And the reason I'm saying that is because in 2020, you posted something about bourbon and invited him to it. And considering that Mr. Calipori did not, or has not ever raised his fist to me until early December, it could have easily been connected with you suggesting or incentivizing him to do so. I hope you didn't, and he was acting of his own volition. But you know what? Considering that Mr. Calipari is a sniveling little coward,
So much for being respectful, Mr. Maas.
This is my 5 minutes, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
Anyway, considering he's a sniveling little coward who hides behind his wife, and considering that I didn't feel like putting him in geriatric ICU, I think you ought to be
Mayor,
ashamed
point of
yourself.
order.
Yeah.
Point of order, please.
He can say what he needs to say. I mean, and I know it's not respectful, but it is his time.
I would like to read from our policy book.
Let him finish his time. When he's done, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right.
I have a timer. I'm well aware of my time. I'm going to take a little bit extra, though, since I was interrupted again, and I've never once interrupted you for the record. But in any event, there's a lot people don't know about what's been going on with him, for sure. But like I said, Mr. Mayor, I would really strongly suggest to you that nothing happen to me before the next meeting, because if I come back here with any marks in that from him or from anybody else, including your police department shining a light on me, and if they could shine a light through my window, they could easily fire a bullet to it. And I'm glad you think it's so funny, especially in election year for you.
Time's up, Mr. Maas.
Yeah, let's
Thank
see
you.
how funny it is
Thank you.
later on.
And just for the record, Mr. Maas, I have not had a conversation with Mr. Calipari in 25 years, I would think. So, right, that's it. Mr. Norton, Councilman Norton.
Yes, according to our policy book on page 16, it's for, just to make sure, this is citizens portion, other persons. Any citizen or person making personal, slanderous remarks or shall become boisterous while addressing the council or behave in such a manner as to disrupt the meeting proceedings shall be ordered by the presiding officer to leave the meeting. Upon motion of a member of council duly supported and carried by the affirmative vote of at least 4 members of council, the council may order the removal of a disruptive person from the meeting. In the event such citizen or person will not leave and continues to disturb and disrupt the meeting, the person may be arrested and charged with violating the sections of the City of Riverview Code of Ordinance pertaining to such conduct and disturbing the peace. Now, Mr. Mayor, I would like to just personally say, I am as much of a constitutionalist as anybody on this country. Everybody has their First Amendment right. But when we have people that start attacking certain members of council individually, I find that totally disruptive.
And I'll say I partially agree, and Randy, you can correct me if I'm wrong, even though the, I'll be kind. The words that Mr. Maas was saying is, we totally disagree with. A majority of them is just totally not true. He is entitled to say what he says. I would beg to differ. I don't think I don't think he was being boisterous or disturbing the meeting. It's just that clearly what he's saying was way off base and not even close to reality. But that's his opinion, and I think he's entitled to it. Randy, am I correct? And at least
Well, yes, Your Honor, you are correct. However, as Councilmember Norton points out, Council Policy Number 1 does attempt to draw a line, although it's a difficult situation to police right in the middle of somebody who's making comments. Where is the line crossed? And the Council Policy recognizes that the presiding officer, i.e. you, has the authority to call the line, and if you don't, and 4 members of council want to draw that line, they certainly can do so by pursuant to Council Policy 1. So it is a difficult issue. We obviously want to respect First Amendment rights. We also want to conduct in a civil manner with decorum. So it's a hard place to be in.
it is, and I'm a big boy. I can take it. And I would suggest anybody else, don't hold back just because it's my granddaughter's birthday. Say what you need to say, because I think you need to get it off. Whatever you need to say, it should be said, and then we'll just deal with it with the facts, and we'll deal with it in an election when it comes around. So with that, fine news.
Your Honor,
Councilman Workman.
I agree, anyone can say anything they want. When they get threatening, I draw the line. And I will, in the future, if you're threatened or one of my colleagues are threatened, I will be making a motion.
And correct, and I will remind council, we've taken the action before where we've had a resident threaten us either through email or voicemail, and we went through the legal proceedings to have a restraining order against that person, and we will do that again when necessary. But that's an extreme, we don't like doing that, but it's just reality, and sometimes that's what you have to do.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Norton.
I didn't call point of order until my interpretation was it was getting a little threatening. Okay?
It was-
We're talking about police with flashlights. That's where I draw the line.
Oh, I hear you. Anybody else want to address the mayor and council? Oh, come on. Okay. We will move on. Organizational business. 8.1, appoint one member to the Board of Review. We do have an application, I see he's here tonight, application from Mr. Brian Webb, dated February 7th, 2023. What's council's pleasure?
So moved.
Support.
Motion by Councilwoman O'Neill and supported by Councilman Norton. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Norton.
Yes.
Councilmember O'Neill.
Yes.
Councilmember Robbins.
Yes.
Mayor Swift.
Yes.
Councilmember Workman.
Yes.
Councilmember Blanchett.
Yes.
Councilmember Ganaga.
Yes.
Congratulations, Brian. Thank you. Is there any item council wants removed from the consent agenda? 9.1, authorize solicitation of bids for wellfield operation and maintenance. 9.2, authorize solicitation of bids for spring 2023 gas collection and control system well drilling construction project. 9.3, authorize solicitation of bids for temporary labor contracts. What's council's pleasure?
So moved.
Support.
Motion by Councilman Norton, supported by Councilman Workman. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmember O'Neill.
Yes.
Councilmember Robbins.
Yes.
Mayor Swift.
Yes.
Councilmember Workman.
Yes.
Councilmember Blanchett.
Yes.
Councilmember Ganaga.
Yes.
Councilmember Norton.
Yes.
10.1, adopt resolution authorizing the city manager, currently acting as the finance director, to serve as the authorized individual for Multi-Bank Securities, Inc. on behalf of the city of Riverview. What's council's pleasure?
So moved, Your Honor.
Support.
Motion by Councilman Blanchett, supported by Councilman Robbins. Any discussion? Roll call.
Councilmember Robbins.
Yes.
Mayor Swift.
Yes.
Councilmember Workman.
Yes.
Councilmember Blanchett.
Yes.
Councilmember Ganaga.
Yes.
Councilmember Norton.
Yes.
Councilmember O'Neill.
Yes.
10.2, adopt resolution authorizing the city manager, currently acting as the finance director, to serve as the authorized individual for UBS Financial Services, Inc. on behalf of the city of Riverview. What's council's pleasure?
So moved, Your Honor. Support.
Motion by Councilwoman Blanchett, supported by Councilwoman Ganaga. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mayor Swift.
Yes.
Councilmember Workman.
Yes.
Councilmember Blanchett.
Yes.
Councilmember Ganaga.
Yes.
Councilmember Norton.
Yes.
Councilmember O'Neill.
Yes.
Councilmember Robbins.
Yes.
10.3, adopt resolution establishing new golf course rates and fees for their period beginning March 1st, 2023. What's council's pleasure?
So moved.
Support.
Motion by Councilwoman Ganaga, supported by Councilman Robbins. I'm sorry, Councilwoman O'Neill. What did I say? Okay. It's even from that side. Any discussion? I will like to thank the golf course committee and the golf course director and the city manager, all those involved in looking at our rates and adjusting them accordingly. We had, roughly 40,000 rounds of golf last year. Hopefully we'll, 48, so hopefully we'll top 50,000 this year. And they've done a great job keeping up the course, but with that many rounds, it costs a little bit more to maintain it, so hopefully we'll have another successful year. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Workman.
Yes.
Councilmember Blanchett.
Yes.
Councilmember Ganaga.
Yes.
Councilmember Norton.
Yes.
Councilmember O'Neill.
Yes.
Councilmember Robbins.
Yes.
Mayor Swift.
Yes. 10-4, adopt resolution approving the deficit elimination plan for the Land Preserve Fund as required by the State of Michigan, Department of Treasury. What's council's pleasure?
So move, Your Honor.
Support.
Motion by Councilman Workman, supported by Councilwoman Blanchett. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Blanchett.
Yes.
Councilmember Ganaga.
Yes.
Councilmember Norton.
Yes.
Councilmember O'Neill.
Yes.
Councilmember Robbins.
Yes.
Mayor Swift.
Yes.
Councilmember Workman.
Yes.
11-1, consider recommendation of the Local Officers Compensation Commission regarding salaries for elected officials. I'll just read a little bit of the background so people know what's going on. It says, Commission members recognize the fiscal realities faced by our community. They also are very appreciative in the sincere dedication to the city, the service of the incumbents of the elected officials whose compensation is nominal. So I guess, is there, what's council's pleasure?
So moved.
All right, I should have done that first. Is there support?
Support.
Supported by Councilman Robbins. I would like to also thank the Local Officers Compensation Commission. It's head up, I believe, by Mary Jarose, Nicole Clark, and Lynette Vale. I also thank our city attorney and Cindy for their help in that committee.
He's got.
Make sure this is legal, because it's involving our compensation. I want to make sure we get this right.
Your Honor, may I make a recommendation
Yes.
that the council, if you want to accept basically the recommendation of the Local Officers Compensation Commission to simply receive and place on file their report and thank them for their service.
Is there still a motion and support for that?
So moved.
Right. Roll call, please. Thank you, Randy.
Councilmember Ganaga.
Yes.
Councilmember Norton.
Yes.
Councilmember O'Neill.
Yes.
Councilmember Robbins.
Yes.
Mayor Swift.
Yes.
Councilmember Workman.
Yes.
Councilmember Blanchett.
Yes.
And I probably should have added that their recommendation is a 0 increase. 12-1, authorize first reading by title only of proposed ordinance number 738 to amend the Code of Ordinances for the City of Riverview by the addition of section 66-123 in chapter 66 regarding prohibiting double parking of vehicles within the city. What's council's pleasure?
So moved.
Support.
Motion by Councilman O'Neill, supported by Councilman Norton. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Norton.
Yes.
Councilmember O'Neill.
Yes.
Councilmember Robbins.
Yes.
Mayor Swift.
Yes.
Councilmember Workman.
Yes.
Councilmember Blanchett.
Yes.
Councilmember Ganaga.
Yes.
Proposed ordinance number 738, an ordinance to amend the Code of Ordinances for the City of Riverview by the addition of Section 66-123, double parking of vehicles prohibited of Article 4, stopping, standing, and parking in Chapter 66, traffic and vehicles, to prohibit the double parking of vehicles within the city.
Thank you, Cindy. 12-2, authorize first reading by title only of the proposed ordinance number 739 to amend Chapter 30, Fire Prevention and Protection of the Riverview City Code by the addition of Article 4, National Fire Prevention Association, NFPA, to adopt the 2021 editions of NFPA 1 and NFPA 101. What's council's pleasure?
So moved.
Support.
Mr. Mayor.
Motion by Councilman Norton, supported by Councilwoman Ganaga. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmember O'Neill.
Yes.
Councilmember Robbins.
Yes.
Mayor Swift.
Yes.
Councilmember Workman.
Yes.
Councilmember Blanchett.
Yes.
Councilmember Ganaga.
Yes.
Councilmember Norton.
Yes.
City of Riverview proposed ordinance number 739, an ordinance to amend Chapter 30, Fire Prevention and Protection of the Riverview Code by the addition of Article 4, National Fire Prevention Association, NFPA, to adopt the 2021 editions of NFPA 1 and NFPA 101 and add them to the Fire Safety Code.
Thank you, Cindy. Other business, is there any other business council wants to bring up at this time? I'll just have one quick question. I'll surprise Dave over there. Earlier in the meeting, there was reference to a letter sent to residents about rodents. Can you tell me who the audience of that letter was?
Not specifically. It's typical for department to, if we received a complaint from a neighbor, and they ask for a service the city provides to put out boxes, we typically blanket the entire neighborhood, just so everybody can keep their eye out. If we see any more action, we know exactly where to send the pest control.
Yeah. And that's a service I know we used to provide that service, so that, we still do that?
Yes.
Okay.
Your Honor,
Councilman Workman.
I received the letter. One of my neighbors, has passed away, it's vacant house. There were some rats coming out of a garage that was packed full. The neighbor called the city responded immediately. They blanketed a letter in our entire subdivision, which I am a member.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other business? I will look for a motion to adjourn from Councilwoman Blanchett.
So moved, Your Honor.
Is there support?
Support.
Support by Councilwoman Ganaga. Any discussion? Roll call.
Councilmember Robbins?
Yes.
Mayor Swift?
Yes.
Councilmember Workman?
Yes.
Councilmember Blanchett?
Yes.
Councilmember Ganaga?
Yes.
Councilmember Norton?
Yes.
Councilmember O'Neill?
Let the record show we adjourned at 7:27.